They are known as England's finishers, but in the case of the replacement halfbacks, vanishers might be a more apt term. George Ford and Dan Robson were nowhere to be seen in Cardiff. When last Saturday's high-intensity, high-stakes Rugby Six Nations contest was in the balance, Wales sent on Dan Biggar and the Northampton fly half won them the game. But Eddie Jones held back his halfback deputies and England were unable to turn the tide back in their favour. Asked about the logic behind not deploying Ford, a highly experienced test playmaker, and Robson, the electric Wasps scrum half, Jones said, "We just felt it wasn't a game that opened up at all. In certain positions, we needed to make changes and in others we needed to stick at it. But to many outside the England setup, it felt as if the side needed to alter their approach in the latter part of the game at the Principality Stadium. They required a fresh creative spark, but instead their reserve halfbacks remained on the sidelines. The pair have spent plenty of time there during this campaign, amassing a meager 34 minutes of game time between them. On Tuesday, they will check in for a training camp in Oxford, hoping that Italy's visit to Twickenham on March 9 presents the opportunity for either a selection reshuffle in the back line, or a policy change in relation to the use of halfbacks on the bench. For different reasons, both men will be desperate for increased involvement, and the England coaches will have to give their predicament careful thought, with one eye on the bigger picture in World Cup year. Ford was in outstanding form in the period between the autumn tests and this Six Nations. He has lost his number 10 shirt to close friend Owen Farrell this season, but the 25-year-old responded with a series of stellar club performances in December and January, rising above the mediocrity of Leicester's collective efforts. When Bentinho was injured during the pre-championship training camp in Portugal, it was widely assumed that the successful Ford and Farrell 10-12 axis would be reinstated for the showdown with Ireland in Dublin. Instead, Jones picked Manu Tuilagi at inside centre, despite admitting it was a fallback. "For this game, he's the best 12 for us," said the head coach. "At the time we prefer him to play 13, but that's not the situation this week, so he needs to play 12. In the event, Tuilagi shone with Farrell at 10 and Henry Slade outside him, and that midfield combination has been retained since. But his power was not effectively unleashed against Wales, so the debate has been reignited. Teo is fit again, but the coaches may also reconsider the Ford-Farrell alliance. The case of Robson is a strange one. For so long, Jones had been openly keen to pick the 26-year-old, but after injury delayed his chance in the autumn, he was in the match day 23 in Dublin but wasn't brought on. Then, after an 11-minute debut cameo at Twickenham against an already beaten France, he was in use again in Cardiff. There is thick fog around the scrum half position. Ben Youngs is entrenched as the starter, but having been preferred to Danny Care, Robson is not being given a meaningful shot. If he is to be a genuine World Cup candidate, he needs to be involved in the cut and thrust of top-end test rugby, preferably before the summer warm ups, which are often glorified training exercises. Jones will need to know if he can rely on Robson, which in turn will dictate if he goes back to Kerr or to Richard Wigglesworth. Perhaps the Italy game will provide greater clarity, and an opportunity for Ford and Robson to be finishers at least rather than vanishers.